thank you guys for tuning in to a special Sunday edition of the Jock Talk podcast. Brock, how are we doing this morning?
Up and at 'em, getting ready for this Packer game,
That's right.
The usual.
Packers game this Sunday afternoon at about 3:20, I believe, is kickoff against the Falcons. We'll touch on that later, as we always do, but we're going to try things a little bit differently. This morning, we're going to touch about the Badgers game here in a little bit, but Brock and I each have a couple of things that we just want to hit on from the week of sports. Brock, I believe you want to hit on the association. Is that right?
NBA.
What do we got?
Well, I think this year, as we've seen in the first couple games around the league, it is going to be a fun year to watch, even with that super team that lost their first game. They lost their first game. Didn't just lose. They lost it at home by 29. 29. I looked that week, or that everybody's first game. I think every team but 4 scored more than the Warriors. So that could be a good thing for other teams to look at. Like, hey, we can score with them. We just got to stop them. And that's exactly what the Spurs did.
I think that might be easier said than done as a whole.
Well, yes, but their second game, they struggled for most of the game, but they ended up pulling it out. So I think everybody's getting that confidence that they can play with anybody. I think especially a couple of teams like the Trailblazers think they can play with anybody in the league. The Cavs can. I think the Celtics have that feeling. A lot of teams around this league have that feeling like we could contend for that championship spot if we put all the pieces together and play as a cohesive unit for that game, or essentially in the playoffs, that series, especially against a team like the Warriors and the Cavs. The Cavs blew a lead yesterday against the Magic. They were up by like 20-something. Ended up being a 5-point game for the final. They had to bring their starters back in the fourth quarter. Excuse me. So I think the NBA is shaping up to be quite a show, maybe more competitive than a lot of people thought, especially
That's what I was about to ask you about that. It seems more so this year. I mean, yes, we're 3 games in for some teams, I think. But the parity in the NFL,
NBA.
The parity in the NBA seems, at least in the early season, a lot closer from best teams to worst teams that a lot of people thought they were going to be.
Yeah,
the Knicks have looked good. The Bulls have looked really good.
Mm-hmm. The Sixers, besides last game, they got destroyed, but their first game they looked pretty good. I think the guy who we talked about, Joel Embiid, is going, once he gets off that minutes restriction, sky's the limit for him this year. I think he definitely grew into his body. He has the NBA type body. He kind of looks like Anthony Davis, the style, or like his body mass and everything looks like Anthony Davis. Speaking of,
he's been popping out for those that 3-pointer that he hit the other night.
Yeah, he's spreading the floor, taking guys off the dribble. He looks impressive so far. Speaking of Anthony Davis, he has had an incredible 2 games so far. 95 points in 2 games, or 90. What is it? 96, 95.
I believe they played their 3rd game last night.
Yeah,
through the
first
2 games, he had 50 and 45. I think he had 15 plus rebounds in both games.
He's doing unreal things right now, but the only thing is they're losing. They're not putting together those wins yet.
That team is not very good around him.
No, I think it does. It doesn't help. You got Drew Holiday is out with his wife being sick. Other than that, they really don't have much. I think Buddy Hield will end up being a guy that they can count on. Lance Stevenson has been a surprise for the Pelicans. He's playing pretty well early, but they just can't put it together. Tim Frazier's played well. I mean, they just can't stop anybody. Their offense is there. They're clearly putting up the points, but their defense can't do anything.
Right.
I think as of right now, I know it's early, but I think there is a lot of players, at least a couple handful of players that look MVP caliber early in the season.
You didn't even mention Russell Westbrook's 51-point triple-double. LeBron's opening night triple-double.
I was just getting there. You didn't. I was just getting warmed up. I was saying what I was just saying. There's a lot of players MVP caliber, and just in the 2-3 games that we played, names like Russell Westbrook, LeBron, Damian Lillard is playing out of his mind. Who else? Kawhi. He is. I read that he was practicing with Kobe Bryant this offseason, and you can see little shades of Kobe in him while he's on offense. He's shooting more. We know we haven't seen a lot of shooting out of Kawhi until the playoffs.
Right.
But I think he's going to round out his game and really show that, hey, I can score for 82 straight games. If you want me to do this, I will do this. I think also Tim Duncan handed over the reins of the team to him finally with retiring. He's like, this has got to be your team. It has been his team kind of, but I think he always had that Tim Duncan was looking over his shoulder, like being that big brother and making sure he doesn't do the wrong thing and kind of keeping him in check.
Right.
And making sure they put the ball movement. But now that Tim Duncan's gone and other guys are getting old, he has to take the reins by a chokehold and just run with it. I think that's what he's going to do this year and have that Mamba-esque type year, if you may.
Yeah, I think he had the potential. I mean, Kobe was a really good defender, especially when he was younger, but he has the potential to be. I mean, he's won, what was it, 2 out of the last 3 Defensive Player of the Years, or has it been back-to-back? But either way,
back-to-back.
Best perimeter defender probably in all of the NBA right now.
Oh, easily.
Miles Turner from the Pacers has had a great start to his sophomore campaign.
It's his. Giannis has looked good. In actually watching it, he's playing a little bit too fast at times. He wants to push it just a little bit too much, where either he's losing control or people are starting to step in front of him. Because it takes him 6 strides to get from free throw line to free throw line.
Yeah.
If that.
Yeah. Rashad Vaughn stepped up last night. John Henson for the Bucks with a tip in at the buzzer.
He had a huge game.
Yeah, so pretty good, really, really good start to the NBA season so far.
Mm-hmm.
Excited to keep on watching it. Anything else from the association?
Not much. I mean, it's early. There's not much other news you can really talk about early, but there's a few teams that may surprise some people. We just have to.
We may have hit on this in a previous show, but are you on the Utah Jazz playoff bandwagon or hype train, I guess you could say?
They have the team. They're playing pretty well without Gordon Hayward right now, so you can't really knock them for that. I think George Hill was an excellent acquisition this offseason. I think he fits that team very well. He's a very capable player. I think he didn't have the responsibility in Indiana like he does in Utah. I think he thrives off of it. He's playing very well the first couple games. And I think once they get Gordon Hayward back, that just adds another dynamic. They're pretty deep. They're very young. So that definitely helps them if they can get into the playoffs.
Right. Joe Johnson will.
Yes, him too.
He's going to be huge. Not just on the court. He's had a decent game here in the early season, but the veteran leadership of that team. You mentioned it is such a young team.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really have that combination of veteran leadership from a point where, yeah, you can be a veteran and you can just take the leadership, but it also helps when you're a veteran who can step up on the court.
Oh, definitely.
So,
definitely. As of right now, the first couple games, it is going to be fun. Like I said, I hope Russell Westbrook wins the MVP just to be like a big FU to Kevin Durant. Like he did.
Who?
I don't know.
Who's that? Does he play for some California?
I guess.
didn't even watch the game. I don't know.
I haven't watched any NBA, so I wouldn't know. I'm just yeah. I mean, I think we're in for a fun year this year. I think we've already seen some great highlight plays out of the NBA in 2 games that could end up being plays of the year. So it's gonna be fun to watch. I can't wait. You know, we're big NBA fans, so this will be a fun year.
Absolutely. You know what's gonna help a lot of people watch some more NBA games?
What?
The World Series concluding.
This is true.
The NBA obviously is going to be competing with the World Series, especially in the Midwest, with Chicago and Cleveland. Cleveland last night, a 7-2 win. They were a 3-run homer in I believe the 7th inning to break it open. Cleveland.
Jason Kipnis,
son of Cleveland. Jason Kipnis. A 3-1 lead for Cleveland. They go back to Cleveland today. So after the Cubs won one on the road, a lot of people were excited, thinking the Cubs might break the curse. Nothing is impossible, obviously, but a 3-1 series lead. Our what if predictions did have this series going 7, and the home team winning in 7 on a walk-off home run in extra innings. So it is still possible that
it really is
that we have a good series out of this game, or a good series left after all. But Cleveland's pitching has been outstanding so far.
5 shutouts in the playoffs is ridiculous.
Yeah. If I had to pick a World Series MVP, it's hard because there hasn't been much offense. It's got to be either Francisco Lindor or Andrew Miller at this standpoint, unless
you could also argue Corey Kluber.
Yeah, I was gonna say unless there is whoever pitches twice in this World Series from a Cleveland Indians starter standpoint.
And Kluber has.
You mentioned Kluber has. He's been dominant both games. So whoever clinches, if Cleveland does win, is going to be. It'll be like a 4-man race for World Series MVP. But the Cubs, great story. Obviously, best team in baseball in the regular season. Their offense just hasn't really showed up this postseason.
Except for Game 2. Everyone thought after Game 2 they were just going to explode, and there it is. But like you said, the Indians' pitching has been incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's about it. Just touching on the World Series, 3-1 lead, Cleveland Indians. Game 5 is tomorrow night. Today's a travel day for them back in Cleveland.
Is it? I thought it went 2-3-2 in NBA or MLB.
2-3-2. So there's 2-3-2. Am I getting my dates mixed up?
I believe they play today.
You're right. Yes, I'm getting my games mixed up. I was thinking that there's already Game 5. That was a premonition. Chicago Cubs win tonight to take it back to Cleveland, so that Cleveland wins at home. That must have been what was going through.
It probably was. It probably was.
The next thing I want to hit on is fireable coaches. The Jaguars just fired their offensive coordinator. The owner has come out and said that they won't fire Gus Bradley in season. I don't think he is back next year. I know that was one of my bold predictions to begin the year, is that at least 2 coaches in the NFL will get fired mid-season. I think we could still definitely see that. Jeff Fisher, even though they were talking about an extension to begin the year for some reason.
8-8.
Todd Bowles, I think, is on the hot seat with Jets, with the way that quarterback situation has been handled and the way that team has been performing. Excuse me. We have, I think, John Fox in Chicago. I don't think they're going to get rid of him this early. I think
he's on his way out. I think he's on his way out.
And we have a bunch of other coaches who are just underperforming. You have Bill O'Brien, who signed the $72 million man. The Texans are underperforming. Chuck Pagano in Indianapolis, definitely underperforming depending on how the rest of their season goes. So that, and then not even to mention the college coaches like the Brian Kellys and the Butch Jones, a lot of coaches at high-profile schools. Mark Helfrich in Oregon, they got a big win yesterday against Arizona State.
They really did. That's probably their signature win of the year so far.
Yeah, I think we see a lot every year. I think it's going to be the case again this year. The off-season to bring back NCAA 2014 coaching carousel. Coaching carousel is going to be alive and ramped up this off-season. So.
I believe so.
And then the last thing before we touch on the Badgers game, they were dubbing this weekend in college football Movement Weekend. A lot of possible upsets, a lot of ranked teams going into either to rivalry games or games that were always tough. We have Boise State losing on a crazy ending in Laramie, Wyoming.
That was probably one of the craziest finishes I have ever seen in football.
Check it out on the Twitter page. I know Brock retweeted it last night. So we had Boise State losing. Tennessee lost to South Carolina after attempting a 58-yard field goal as time expired. Fell about 10 yards short.
I would hope so.
Excuse me. Who else did we have that lost yesterday? Obviously, Nebraska fell to Wisconsin.
I'll just pull out the numbers. I didn't write down all the names, but number 8, number 10, number 12, number 18, number 7, number 13, number 17, number 22.
There we go. Which is,
all lost.
That was Navy's number 22. We had West Virginia and Baylor lose, who were both, I believe, top 10.
Yeah, West Virginia was 10.
Big 12 teams. So lots of movement, lots of playoff implications, possibly shattered with the Big 12. Clemson, great game last night, coming from behind a bunch of times in the fourth quarter. That was a lead
game.
Change after lead change kind of game. So a lot of movement. I think
it could have been a lot worse too. You look at Louisville scoring with 13 seconds left. Michigan struggled with Michigan State. Florida struggled.
Ohio State struggled.
Ohio State was so close to losing another game.
JT Barrett's first ever game starting with
no touchdown.
Touchdown.
It's ridiculous. So, I mean, college football could have been all sorts of messed up this weekend if Louisville, Michigan, or Ohio State. That's what Louisville was 5, Michigan was 2, Ohio State was 6. You lose any of those, that just messes up anything.
There was an article from ESPN about what would cause pandemonium in the playoff race, and it's what if Washington doesn't win the Pac-12, which they almost lost to Utah, which was a really good game.
Yeah, it was.
What if Washington doesn't win the Pac-12? What if Louisville or Clemson don't win the ACC? And then 2 more. What if Alabama doesn't win the SEC? What if Michigan or Ohio State don't win the Big Ten?
It's very possible. Because someone has to lose Michigan Ohio State game. Right. Someone has to lose. And right now, Badgers are sitting alone at top.
If the Badgers win out, the Badgers are in the playoff.
They have to win the Big Ten championship game.
Exactly. If they win out, that game.
Oh yes, definitely.
As a Badgers fan, with the way our defense has been playing, is exciting.
It's very possible. Very, very possible.
You see glimpses of it from the offense when
Alex
Hornibrook, it seems like when he gets down to the goal line and the Badgers are running the ball well, they always do the play action, and he always has a guy open, and he always takes a hit, and some of that's his fault. Like yesterday, the touchdown pass. I don't know if you saw it or not. Play action, rolling to the right from a lefty quarterback.
I never understand it.
Basically fell into the defender because his releases, it takes him a little while to release the ball. Did get the touchdown pass, but We need to shore up our special teams. Andrew Endicott missed field goal at the end, I believe, with 1:38 left, and
That
then
makes
missed
sense.
point after in overtime.
That could have been huge.
That exactly. The punter Anthony Lottie, who I know us, or at least me, as well as a lot of other people, were comparing him to the Packers punter in terms of how not
Awful.
well he performed last week. Had a pretty good game. Some punts that
Switch the field
position, right. But overall, I mean, the Badgers' defense right now is not the same defense that they began the year with. Chris Orr.
Could you imagine if they were healthy? Oh boy, that's depth.
Chris
also,
Orr hurt on the very first defensive play of the year.
That sucks.
Vince Beagle missed 3 or 4 games. He's still finding his groove, getting back after a good game last week. Jack Sitchie, the Badgers, probably either their best or second best defensive player, out for the year now with a torn pectoral.
And he played through it. You think about that. You played through it with one arm was ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's the heart of him, and he can do nothing but applaud him for his effort. He almost had a couple sacks, but he couldn't wrap up because his arm couldn't extend.
Yeah. He had surgery early last week, and he was already on the sidelines helping to coach his fellow defense, which is, again, it says a lot about him. TJ Watt left yesterday's game. I have not seen an injury report on him, but he left, I believe, either early in the second half or late in the first half. Don't believe he returned to the game. So looked like a shoulder or some kind of an upper arm injury, which would be a huge loss for the Badgers defense.
It's something that I talked about in one of our earlier podcasts is Coach Wilcox has this defense playing a type of football that we haven't seen in Wisconsin in quite some time. It's not just the linebackers. The secondary is playing very well. We saw them in blanket coverage for most of the game yesterday.
Yeah.
And on top of, like, you hold Michigan to 14 points. You take Ohio State to overtime. You're playing all these undefeated teams, high-powered teams, and holding them to these kind of points. That speaks a lot on not just linebackers and D-line, though. That secondary is playing very well, stopping some very high-powered offenses. Yeah. So Coach Wilcox has done a phenomenal job in his first year. And like you said, you can see the heart from the players because they're already back on the field a week and a half after they have surgery or whatever. I see oars in the middle of every single linebacker, like huddle up or anything pregame.
He looks like he's about 15, but I believe he's a
He does.
He's a redshirt senior, but he looks like he's about 15 years old.
He looks like a young guy. I will say that. So it's good to see like a defense that is finally stepping up. I feel like the thing with Wisconsin over the years is we had this high-powered running attack, which could put up any points any day, but our defense was always a little bit suspect to giving up the big play. We haven't seen that a lot this year, and it's fun to watch now.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully he can carry that over and not get a head coaching job for a little bit anywhere.
Yeah, I think some people, I should say, are still kind of the jury's not out on him. A lot of people are saying this is still Aranda's defense, blah 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 blah. But this defense does not look anything like it looked like last year. Dave Aranda is different schemes, lining up in different formations. This is a straight up 3-4 defense where these guys are just playing their asses off.
They really are.
For each other, for the coaches, for everything. A big person we're a big fan of with a big game yesterday, Dare Ogunbowale.
Dare.
He had, I believe, 120 rushes on 11 carries.
11 carries.
A career-high 39-yarder in the fourth quarter to get them set up for potential game-winning field goal. The game-winning touchdown in overtime. When Corey Clement has not had the running room, it seems like Dare has. And I think a lot of that, and he mentioned it the commentators mentioned is he's a threat out of the backfield from a passing standpoint.
Oh, yes.
I think defenses maybe lax a little bit when they see him, thinking, "Oh, we're gonna run the ball or we're gonna throw the ball," and that's why he's so successful on the draws and the delays.
He is a little bit of a smaller guy, but he has everything I feel like he is a very good running back. I think he might be one of the best running backs that we've had since like the Monte Ball.
I think he's the most versatile.
Yes, he can catch.
That's what I want to see them do that more with Corey Clement. What they do with him, line him up in the backfield and run him out on a route. I think when Corey Clement's in the backfield, it's either a play action or you're running the ball. How many times do they throw the ball with him out of the backfield without a play action? The Badgers' offense is all about it has to be about getting the ball out of their hands quickly. The Badgers' quarterback showed it yesterday that they're not the best decision makers. Both quarterback with a "who were you throwing to" kind of interception in the fourth quarter, but the defense again picked them up and didn't allow them to score. Overall, it was a stressful game to watch, especially in the second half with the special teams. But 2 interceptions from the defense. Dakota Dixon, I don't know what class he is in terms of freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, but he looks like he's a pretty instinctive defensive back. If he shores up his tackling a little bit, I think he's going to be a really good one. But 23-17 win against the 7th ranked and unbeaten team in the country. I'll take it. I expect the Badgers to move up. They dropped last week after a win from 10 to 11. I think they've got to at least be number 9. But
they're at least 7 because you got 7, 8, 10, 7, and 8 lost.
Okay, so at least number 8, you would think, unless a team moves up ahead of them. But we've seen it before where we thought the Badgers would drop to 15 or 16, and they only dropped a couple spots to number 10 following the Ohio State loss. So
yeah, we also seen people drop because of their performance.
Right.
I mean, you could say Michigan can drop, Ohio State can drop, Louisville can drop, if you're just going to base it on a performance standpoint too. Yeah, so we'll see. I think they'll be.
I would not be surprised if I saw Washington jump
to 3.
Clemson, the top 2, 3, and 4. I think right now, I think Clemson is number 2. I would put Washington. Before the season, I said I thought they were a year away, but they've been proving me wrong week after week. I picked Utah yesterday, a suspect or 3 suspect non-block in the back calls on that punt return away from possibly losing that game. But I think Washington's 3. I think Michigan right now is 4. After, I mean, the score of that Michigan State game was closer than it looked. There was a lot of garbage time touchdowns for Michigan State, but a really good week of college football. Excited to see what happens next week. We got a bunch of good matchups, ranked teams going against each other. But let's go to the bread and butter of our show. That's right. We're gonna go through just like normal. We're gonna pick some games, give some key factors in some of the games. We got the favorites last week. We continued to do pretty well in our picks. Brock, you did okay. And by okay, it's good from a normal person's standards, but in terms of the Jock Talk standards, one of our worst weeks, which is saying something. I didn't go too hot after picking some upsets that didn't.
You sucked.
Fall through that. Yeah, I kind of did. Brock, you went 8-5.
And 1.
And 1 after the tie, obviously. I went 5-8. The Browns and the 49ers let me down, obviously. But overall, still exceptional records. Brock, you're 55-30. I'm 49-36 and 1. So compare those against anybody you want.
We're doing pretty well.
Very well. start this off, we have a smaller slate of games, a couple bye weeks. Obviously, then we have the Thursday night game that happened already, and then we had the game in London that's going on right now. I believe we both have the Bengals in that game.
Yes, we do.
Get a quick score update. But in the meantime, we have Detroit going to Houston, Brock. Houston is favored in this game. It's a tale of two different teams. Detroit's been playing pretty well. Houston has been, not so much. They struggled last week. The Bengals are up 20-17 on the third quarter, by the way.
All right.
Detroit goes to Houston. Houston's favored in that game, Brock. Who do you got?
I have Houston in this game. I think their offense will get going, kind of. I mean, compared to other weeks, I think they will play pretty well. Matt Stafford likes to throw the ball around. Their defense hasn't played terrible, but I think Houston will just make just enough plays to win. I think this one will be an ugly game.
Yeah, this one's close for me. I was considering picking the upset. I think this is Brock Osweiler's best game as the $72 million man. But I think if this game was in Detroit, I'd pick Detroit. But being in the Dome in Houston, I think it's a 35-31 win for Houston. I think it's a little bit higher scoring. I think the potential of both offenses is truly shown in this game.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
This next game, we have Seattle coming off of the 6-6 tie, going to New Orleans. Definitely the potential to be like a 45-45 tie instead of a 6-6. Seattle is favored in New Orleans, though, Brock.
Yeah, I do have Seattle. I think Pete Carroll will get that team all fired up after a very disgusting, ugly tie, 6-6, where they missed chip shots of field goals. Chip shots. So I think Seattle will get it together. New Orleans defense struggles mightily against anybody. And with that kind of offense, I think Russell Wilson could be in for a big game. Drew Brees, not so much. That defense has been playing very well. Cam Chancellor's expected to play this week. So that's another added dimension to that defense, another hard-hitting, ball-hawking guy. Like he's one of the biggest guys that you don't like to miss, and they've played well without him. So getting him back could be huge this week.
I think going into this game, looking on the outset, I was picking New Orleans, but knowing Seattle's getting closer and closer to full health, the defensive front seven in terms of a pass rush standpoint has not been there for Seattle this year. Michael Bennett, I believe, got the update. I think he's having knee surgery, so he's expected to miss 2 or 3 weeks just to clean it up down there. But I do have Seattle. Russell Wilson has not been himself. He was in my top 3 MVP picks to begin the year.
He was your MVP pick.
He was my MVP pick. Hasn't showed it. He's been hurt and hobbled a little bit, but just not there so far. So I do have Seattle winning this game in New Orleans. Next game is a pick'em. We saw 2 of these last week. One of them actually did end in a tie. But Oakland again traveling to Florida. This time they're going to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, this one's a pick'em. I'm going with Oakland. I think they're in a roll. I know Tampa Bay going into the year, again, we mention it every week, was one of our playoff teams. They had a decent win last week against the not-so-hot San Francisco team. But I am picking the Oakland Raiders to win in Tampa Bay.
As am I, like, for the reasons that you said, their offense has been clicking. Michael Crabtree, I think, is leading the league in touchdowns. Michael Crabtree is leading the league in touchdowns. Let that sink in. Yeah, Amari Cooper's still a huge target. Latavius Murray has had a decent year. Derek Carr has played very well the first half of this season, and I think it continues in Tampa.
Yeah. Next game, one of the worst games of the year to date in terms of records,
Yeah.
which foreshadows our what if sports game of the week.
It really does. That's
Global
surprising.
losers. The New York Jets traveled to Cleveland to face on the Browns. I'm going to go with this one first. I called for it last week. I was wrong. Calling for it again this week. Cleveland Browns, your turn to get your first win of the season.
I will agree with that. I think the winning is in the air in Cleveland right now. So, Cavs are 2-0. Windians are one win away from the World Series. I think it's the Browns' time to shine against a very banged up, underperforming Jets team.
A lot of trade rumors circulating in Cleveland. Josh Gordon, Joe Hayden, Joe Thomas, Isaiah Crowell, and both Duke Johnson. Heard trade rumors of all of them. We'll see what happens. But Cleveland gets Hugh
Run
Jackson.
it with Terrell Pryor.
Yep. Upset pick of the week because New York is favored to go into Cleveland.
Yeah, that is also mine. Why do we pick the same people?
We have not disagreed so far, but we might on this next game. Arizona goes to Carolina. Carolina is favored. What do you got?
No, Arizona's winning this game. I think so. I think Carolina has been very, very lackluster on offense. Their defense hasn't been there. I think their defense will still play pretty well. I think Arizona's offense isn't very good outside of David Johnson.
Oh, their offense.
Yeah, Arizona's offense isn't very good outside of David Johnson. And Larry Fitzgerald, the legend. But Carson Palmer hasn't played very well. I think this is going to be another ugly game for the Cardinals, but I think they pull it out and win.
I don't know if you heard my my report to your pick, but it was it went something like this. Carolina wins this game. Carolina's offense hasn't been that good. Arizona's offense has been awful. They scored 6 points last week in 5 quarters. You mentioned David Johnson has been the best back in football, maybe outside of Ezekiel Elliott, but
most consistent inside and outside the backfield.
Carson Palmer has been bad. Offensive line has been bad. David Johnson has been doing a lot of this work on yards after contact or on second attempts, and Carolina wins this game at home. If it was in Arizona, maybe a different story, but I do have Carolina winning this game. New England goes to Buffalo. Just mark this one down for Tom Brady and the Patriots. I don't think we have a repeat of a couple of weeks ago without Tom Brady, without Gronk, basically without Gronk. I think this is a blowout game. This is my lock of the week kind of pick of the week.
I would not be surprised with a blowout, but I am picking New England. I think Buffalo has been playing very well on defense the last 3 or 4 weeks now.
Starting with that win against New England with Jacoby Brissett, basically.
Yes, I mean you can't put it past that, but I mean you can't say that they only won because of it. But their defense has been playing very well outside of that game. So I think this will be a very good game to watch. This is a rivalry game. It is in Buffalo.
It is
correct?
In Buffalo, correct.
So I mean, anything can play out at a away game. I think this will be I think Tom Brady will settle in the second quarter and just start throwing on him. I think he will be pissed because he missed the last game, and it's a little bit of revenge. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with a close game. I wouldn't be surprised with a blow-up by New England. Either way, yes, I do have New England.
Next game, Kansas City travels to Indy. Kansas City is favored on the road. Indianapolis coming off of a long week. I believe they had I think did they have the bye week last week? Yeah, either way, Indy coming off rested. I do have Indy winning this game at home. Another upset pick. Kansas City has been playing pretty well recently. Spencer Ware has been going off. He is in a loss, my fantasy stud of the week. But I do have Indianapolis winning at home.
Yeah, I have Kansas City. I think their defense is just going to force Andrew Luck to struggle a little bit. We've seen that offensive line just be awful at times, and I think Kansas City front line has played pretty well. Marcus Peters, I say this every week, is the real deal. I believe
like he's starting to become your new Patrick Peterson.
He won't replace him, but he's a close second, definitely. He is definitely a close second because he is amazing and he's so young. That's the thing. He was second year with 8 interceptions last year, 5 this year, 13 in 20 games. It's ridiculous, this kid. So I think Kansas City will come out on top. I think Spencer Ware will have a big game also because Jamal Charles is out again. Out. Not questionable, not going to get a few carries here and there. He's out. So that means a full workload for Spencer Ware this week.
All right. Next game has been a popular upset pick. San Diego won a couple weeks ago on Thursday night. However, this game is in Denver. We have the Chargers going to the Broncos. The Broncos are favored. I think Melvin Gordon has a decent game. I don't believe he has any games this season in which he hasn't either gotten a rushing or receiving touchdown or topped 100 yards. Been one of the best fantasy players in all of football.
Yes.
But I do have the Denver Broncos winning this game. I think they rally around. I lied. You know what? Changing my pick last second. I have San Diego sweeping Denver. For 1, Trevor Siemian, he's been struggling. For 2, C.J. Anderson's going to be out. Devontae Booker has been playing really well, but San Diego goes into Mile High, takes down the Denver Broncos.
I disagree with you. I think Denver wins because of Devontae Booker. I think he has a huge game this year. That is my fantasy stud of the week. I think he's going to come in. He hasn't had a lot of playing time. He has played a lot the last couple weeks, played very well the last couple weeks.
Yes.
He's finally going to get that starting job. I don't know. This might be a bold statement, but just be
Let it go.
He does not let that starting position go. I think C.J. Anderson's time is done in Denver with that injury. Devontae Booker's and I think Juwan Thompson. He is now the backup running back this week. I think he will be the next man up, and he will play also very well in a backup role. I won't say he's going to score a touchdown or anything. I think he's going to have a solid backup role, play pretty well. If, say, Booker goes down, Juwan Thompson is capable running back enough to keep that running game stable.
All right. This next one we have big divisional game in the NFC East. We have Philadelphia going to Dallas. Dallas is favored at home. Both teams coming off of a win.
Big wins. Big wins.
Yes. Let's go to you first on this one, Brock. Who do we got?
This one was a tough one. I went more with my heart because I hate Dallas, and I think Philly's defense played an outstanding game against a pretty good Vikings offense. Well, as of late, they were undefeated, and they ended that streak. So I think Philly might be riding a little high. I think Carson Wentz bounces back after a couple rough weeks. and plays very well against Dallas. I think they match up very well against each other. Like you said, it is a rivalry game, so it's going to be a hard hitting, smash mouth football game, and I think this will be a great game to watch, especially on a Sunday night football game. You got to expect they bring out the best on Sunday night, and I think this game delivers. I think this is one of the best games of the week. You could put this anywhere, and everybody's going to watch it. So I think, especially with the young quarterbacks, 2 rookie quarterbacks, an outstanding rookie running back, 2 very good defenses, special teams was the main factor in the win against Minnesota for Philly. So watch out for the special teams to play a big factor in this game. Philly. I have Philly winning this game. I think it is a field goal to 7-point game. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. I agree with a lot of what you said. This could just be, again,
6-6.
This probably is the reason why I'm picking Philadelphia, is because I don't like Dallas. I especially don't like Dallas after how they manhandled our Packers a couple weeks ago. I am going Philly on the road. I think Carson Wentz throws for 300 yards.
Ooh, big prediction there.
Wentzy, 300.
Good luck with that one. It should be I'd like to see it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. This next game, second to last game of the week, to pick at least. Minnesota, coming off their first loss of the week, travels to Chicago. I believe it is Jacob Cutler.
Yes, it is.
Start.
It is.
No, Minnesota wins this game.
I'm picking, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Now, if Chicago wins, will I be happy? Of course I will.
If Chicago wins, Brock,
you
gotta shave.
Okay.
Deal?
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
I can't grow a beard, otherwise I'd make that same. I can't grow a goat, I should say. Otherwise,
Yeah.
If Chicago wins, Brock shaves.
Okay, that's not even.
What's Lauren gonna think about that?
Fine, I shave all the time.
Yeah. Don't let it go all Grizzly Adams anymore.
Well, I told my sister her wedding's in February. I'm growing it out. I'm starting it now. So I got 4 months.
Good nil.
She won't allow that.
Yeah. All right. Final game to pick before our What If Sports Game of the Week. The Green Bay Packers. Legendary Lambeau Field.
Go, Pack, go. Go,
That's
Pack,
right.
Go. Hey, Wisconsin, what do you say? Pack is gonna win today. Works? It works. It sounds better. It sounds better than the Cubs.
Brock's a jingle. Jingle machine. Green Bay, coming off a long week. I know we've been tweeting about it throughout the week. Keys to the game, we both agree. You got to stop Julio Jones. Contain Julio Jones. So I think we might have a little bit of a different explanation or a different definition of what contain is. For me, when I think of containing him, you cannot allow him. One, you can't allow him a big play, obviously.
Yeah.
But two, you cannot allow him to catch the ball in the red zone. If the Packers, Packers can allow him 150 yards on 10 catches if they want. Just get him dink and dunks. Do not let him catch the ball in the red zone because he is fast and he is big and he will run our defensive backs over and get the ball into the end zone. So do not allow him a catch in the red zone. I would be happy.
See, what I was saying, my version of contain is let him catch it in front of you. He can have 18 catches for 100 yards.
Right.
Do not let him outrun you. Keep him in front. let him catch the short passes and just make sure tackles. That's what you get.
And if he does catch it in front, no yak.
Yeah, know where you're at, too. Know where you're at. If he's on the sideline, don't try to make a tackle. Just push him out of bounds. Try to just drag him. Just push. Do anything you can. He is a man of a football player. He is a man of a wide receiver. He is bigger than 99% of the wide receivers.
He's bigger than you. He's faster than you. Play smarter than him.
Exactly. Think smarter, not harder.
That's right.
Old Tory. Tory need him.
We do have some news out of this game. Randall Cobb is out with a hammy. Ty Montgomery, been the Packers arguably their best player on offense the last couple of weeks, is expected to play. He's had an illness. He's been sick this week, which has been limiting him in practice.
That doesn't mean anything. He's going to get an IV, and he's going to be good to go.
Right. On the Falcons sideline, Tevin Coleman, another stud in fantasy this year, is out.
That helps.
This game.
That helps.
Which definitely helps. Devontae Freeman has also been limited in practice. I believe he's full go, ready to go, but he has been limited in practice. I think he's been having a knee injury or a nagging knee issue. Wouldn't call it necessarily an injury. Eddie Lacy, again, is out. I believe Don Jackson gets to start after playing for maybe
two
one
plays.
drive. Yeah.
2 plays and injured his hand or something.
So, Brock, obviously we talked about Julio Jones. Give me another key to today's game for a Packers win.
For a Packers win. You want it on our offensive side of the ball or anywhere?
Just if the Packers do this, they will win.
They need to spread the ball out again. We saw it. We saw it last week. Spread the ball out. Let Aaron throw it 50 times. Let everybody, but he threw it 50 times to get 300 yards. Well, so does Drew Brees every other game. And no one blinks an eye. They're just like, Drew Brees had a fantastic game. He threw it 50 sometimes. Yeah, okay. Aaron Rodgers does it once. It's like, he needed 50 to throw 300. You'll know shit. You kind of do sometimes, unless you're lucky.
Yeah.
You have to have that almost 30 completions to get 300 yards. You would think.
Who steps up with Cobb being out? Does Jordy?
Jeff Janis.
Jeff Janis steps up, you think?
I think Jeff Janis has a decent game. I think he brings a new dimension. I mean, everybody loves Jeff Janis. So I think Jeff Janis, they did release Aberderis this week, sadly. But that means another guy. We talked about him earlier. Could have a couple guys. I'll say a couple guys we talked about earlier in podcasts that could end up having big games is Trevor Davis.
Yeah, I mean, the Packers are down to 5 receivers, I believe, unless they've signed somebody off the practice squad.
Geronimo Allison. Geronimo is here.
Is he?
I think he is. I've been seeing a lot of talk about him. He's very grateful for this chance. I have seen quite a bit of things on him. I haven't read if he is on the depth chart, if he's active. But I have seen that he is happy and grateful for the opportunity. I think the Green Bay Packers like him a lot. I think he can be a Donald Driver.
Active roster.
Yeah, okay. I think he can be that Donald Driver type player in a few years, because if you look back at Donald Driver, he was a 5th string receiver back when he first started with the Packers and started coming out. Injuries and players leaving just made him better. It really brought him up, and I think Geronimo Allison has a lot better speed than Donald Driver.
He's 6'3", 200 pounds with a 4.55 40. So not blazing speed, but he's fast enough. 35-inch vertical. 6'3" with a 35-inch vertical. So
you can't be mad about that.
He is, like I said, he is on the active roster. So it gives the Packers 5.5 receivers. I say 5.5
because he might not. Well, he might not get the snaps.
Ty Montgomery in the backfield.
Okay.
FanDuel has sense. Ty Montgomery listed under running backs.
Yes, they do.
So that leaves us Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams, clear-cut 1-2 in terms of
productivity.
In terms of pure receiving,
Yes. Okay.
It's yet to be seen what Ty Montgomery does, but I'm assuming they're gonna have to lean on him heavy in the backfield as running back 1/2. After that, you have Jeff Janis, Trevor Davis, Geronimo Allison. I think out of those people, I think Geronimo Allison has the best opportunity to finish with the most catches. I think Jeff Janis has the opportunity to rack up the yards and the touchdown.
Red zone. I think he is a fantastic red zone threat. He goes up and gets the ball, so I think Jeff Janis. I think Jeff Janis will at least have a touchdown or at least a couple targets in the red zone to open it up. I think one person we haven't mentioned yet for the Packers is Niall Davis. He has had a week and a half now with this offense. The coaches love him. They say he's learning the offense tremendously. They think he is ready to take on a bigger load of plays this week. I'm not saying he's going to play every down, but I think, it also it takes away from the success of Ty Montgomery. If he's having a good game out of the backfield once again, might as well stick with him. Don't try to mess things up, but it will also spell other running backs, give them a break, give Ty Montgomery a break, because we saw a couple times he got really tired.
Yeah.
Because they ran it to him 2 or 3 times in a row. He comes out, and then you put Rip back there, and he can't run.
No, not John Kuhn.
I will respect him though. He carried a pile for about 10 to 12 yards.
That was
It was.
The Packers seem to have one of those at least, one like every game.
Who did we have that one year? Quinn? We had like 3 fullbacks that were like
Quinn Johnson.
Oh, he was
LSU.
He was a beast, but we had to let him go because of John Kuhn.
Corey Hall.
I think we just get those blocking fullbacks that are bred for the fullback position. They don't care about stats. They just want to succeed, and that's what I think. That's what makes the Packers so great. They have a group of guys that just want to succeed, and it's not one player needs to get all the attention, like a Dez Bryant needs all the attention, or the Odells need all the attention. No, Aaron Rodgers doesn't need the attention. He doesn't care if he gets the attention. Jordy
just gets it anyways.
Jordy doesn't care. Like, they have a bunch of people that just want to play and win football.
Buy Jordy's Farm Flakes and he'll be happy.
Right.
For me, key to the game, the Packers need to win the turnover battle.
No fumbles. No fumbles.
Plus two in turnover margin, Packers win the game. I would prefer, obviously, 2 interceptions, interception, a fumble recovery, and no turnovers.
Yeah.
But the Packers need to finish +2 in turnover margin, and they will win this game.
I think here's one prediction. I think Clinton Dix gets his first interception of the year. He takes it back a good ways. I would be more than happy with a pick 6, but I think he gets it. Clinton Dix picks up his first forced turnover of the year. I would like to see 2 out of him, but that's getting greedy.
So I'm just writing down my predictions here.
What's your final score? What do you got from
31-17. Green Bay Packers. Micah Hyde gets a turnover of some sort. He always seems to be that guy who gets the big interception and the big fumble recovery. Mm-hmm. And then 2 receivers with either 100 yards or a touchdown reception. Similar to last week, 2 guys with 10 catches, 3 guys with 10 catches, I believe.
Yeah.
That's mine. Hyde gets a first turnover, 2 receivers either over 100 or a touchdown.
I always get
31-17. Sorry.
I always go with the sacks. I don't know why, but I'm not going with the sacks this time. I think the Packers hold the Falcons' offensive passing game to under 250 yards. I think the pressure will get to Matt Ryan. I don't think we'll get a lot of sacks. I hope we do. I think Kenny Clark has played fantastic. Dayton Jones, shout out Dayton. Thank you.
I am that one.
Yeah. Dayton Jones, I think he's having a fantastic year. Kyler Fackrell, if he can step up and play well. Blake Martinez, Clay
has been
Julius.
limited. Clay has been limited in practice this week, I believe with a hamstring injury, but he is expected to play.
Yeah, I mean, strength in numbers we've had. Our linebackers have played well for us. It's good to see. Jake Ryan. God. He has played well. I will give him that. He has played pretty well his last weeks, and hopefully they can continue that, I hope the Packers hold their offense to under 250 yards receiving, or passing, I should say. And I will say we force 3 turnovers. I'm going to go all defense this game. I think we force 3 turnovers and hold that offense. I think hopefully we can pressure him enough to force these turnovers and get some errant throws so he can't. A lot of 3-and-outs, let's hope.
What is your final score prediction?
34-17.
All right.
We're getting pretty close to numbers. As
31-17, 34-17. 3 turnovers. Hold them to under 250 yards passing.
I was going to go low. I think I was going to go with the blowout. I was going to go 34-10.
Yeah.
I don't want to think too highly right now because every time I pick something high, it goes awfully wrong.
I have one more thing for daily fantasy sports to watch out for. Matt Asiata. Watch out for him. Jerick McKinnon is out this week for the Vikings. Expect a lot of running the ball from Minnesota against Chicago. So watch out for Matt Asiata. Daily fantasy sports. Win your money. Pick him up.
Guess who picked him in our league?
You got him?
This guy.
There we go. All right.
I tried to pick up Ty Montgomery, but fucking Gabe had to snatch him up. He was higher on the waiver wire than me. Bastard.
What if sports game of the week? We mentioned it when we had the New York Jets and Cleveland Browns. The lovable losers.
I wouldn't even say they're lovable. They're just terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, we picked the 2011 Indianapolis Colts, a.k.a. Peyton Manning's neck surgery the year before Andrew Luck. So the Colts did get Andrew Luck out of this, so you love them for losing. And then the 2008 Detroit Lions, the year before Matthew Stafford. So, awful teams who absolutely hit on number 1 picks the next year. We are playing a neutral site game at Lambeau Field. Final score, 31-19. Indianapolis Colts take it. Players of the game, Curtis Painter, 151 yards, 2 interceptions, and 2 touchdowns. Dan Orlovsky for Lions, 15 of 30, 169 yards. Rushing the ball, both teams were pretty bad.
How'd they score 31?
How did they score 31? Reggie Wayne, 6-yard touchdown pass. Jeremy Ross, 16-yard touchdown run. Pierre Garçon, 17-yard touchdown reception. Yeah, player of the game. Curtis, the artist painter.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That was probably a fun one to watch. It's probably like the Jacksonville-Tennessee game this Thursday.
Really ugly game from 2 really ugly teams. But next week, stay tuned. We have a
NCAA.
Runners-up What If Sports Game of the Week. We're going to be picking 2 Super Bowl losers to go against each other. But like Brock said, college basketball preview show. Hopefully we're going to get JoJo for show in on it.
We'll have a special guest.
That's right.
Hopefully.
College basketball is about a week and a half or 2 weeks away. NBA is going to be in full swing by then, so stay tuned for that. We're going to have our, by the next show, the World Series should be completed.
I hope so.
Lots of shakeup in college football coming in the next week. So stay tuned. We're going to have a good show next week. Hopefully 2 shows next week. We'll see how everything goes. Other than that, Brock, got anything else?
Go Packers.
Go Pack, go. Get some.